This week on The Travel Show.
Seeing Africa by train.
We witnessed 7 lions. They were chasing a zebra. It was like a movie, but this was real.
The history of selfies, lol.
Selfies had a very interesting history that goes back 40,000 years.
And rocking the mic underwater in Denmark.
Making music! Woohoo!
We're starting this week in Africa, on a train line that passes through some of the continent's wildest landscapes. The Freedom Railway cuts through more than 1,800 kilometres of dense jungle, mountains and savannah, as it winds its way from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania to Zambia's central province. But more than 40 years after it opened, it's now beginning to show its age and is overdue a major upgrade. We bought a ticket and went to find out what makes the journey so unique.
I'm scared of using a bus because bus is not safe. Train is safe. Yeah. The first time I was on the train, I was like, I was a bit nervous. The time started to move, I wasn't myself. Now it's just feel at home. I went to Dar es Salaam for business. I went there to buy clothes, cosmetics, shoes. Now I'll be taking them back to Zambia, where I've got a shop there. We are just managing to survive.
I've been driving this train since 1983. When they were building it, I was in Form 1, 1974, it passed in Pika, and we went to plant grass on the embankment. We were just looking as if we were so baffled, we didn't know what it meant. You bring the mirror this side. What matters now is the navigation and the speed control. Locomotive driving per se is in the blood now. You have to keep yourself awake and thinking nicely.
Ng'ombe tunanunua Ifakara, tunauzia Ruvu, na ndio tunasafirisha kwa malori, kisha wakati wa kurudi tunarudi na treni. Tumeshaizoea, maana unaposafiri unasafiri kwa raha sana. Kwa njia hii kuna wanyama wengi sana, ni kwa vile ni usiku, ndio maana hatuoni sasa hivi. Kwa mchana tulikuwa tunaona wengi sana, pundamilia, tembo, swara wengi, ila kwa vile ni usiku.
Tunnels, they used to blast using the dynamite, and there are about 18 tunnels. The longest one is about 800 meters. The whole train will just enter into the tunnel. So it was very impressive because we had never seen such type of engineering. It was said that constructing the Tazara, it was the largest engineering feat that the Chinese had done outside their country. Before construction of the rail line, Chinese were not anywhere in Africa. Today there are Chinese all over Africa. So there was a language barrier, but we got along each other very well. I used to see what was going on. It was tough.
You know, those ponds which were constructed purposely along the line, We found actually 7 lions.
Yes.
They were chasing a zebra, and it was killed just when we were watching. It was like a movie,
Yes.
but this was real.
In 1964, when we got independence from Britain, our neighbor, Southern Rhodesia, was still under white rule. But because of the hostile regime there, that's why our first president thought it wise that let us construct a rail line from Kapimposhi in central Zambia to Dar es Salaam, so that our copper could be ferried there. That's why it was referred to as the Uhuru Railway Line. Uhuru Swahili word meaning freedom.
A villager from here is going to have his cassava, is going to like this one here, which I'm holding. You can see it's a very beautiful cassava. When you sell this cassava in your village, it will not attract any value. But you transport it to Nakonde, you're going to find that the very cassava which I'm holding here is going actually to attract a lot of money. Then it's going to empower an ordinary villager.
You see, if I mismanage, everyone will suffer at the end. It will affect everyone. Yeah? It has been restricted to run at 40 kilometers per hour due to some problems with the coaches. Some of them are not yet maintained.
Gets broken, you've got a breakdown. When they start to repair it, cleaning makes it difficult for us, especially if you've got orders. It's important for us Zambians to be using a train. Yeah, for those people who cannot afford, at least they can manage with a train.
When I retired in 2012, we were called again. They want more manpower. We are running a lot of trains nowadays. Things are getting better.
And if you're tempted by a rail journey through Africa, here's our pick of some of the highlights. The continent's first ever high-speed train line is due to open this summer in Morocco. It'll more than halve the time it takes to travel from the port of Tangiers to Casablanca, where you can pick up slower connections onto Fez or Marrakesh. Another key upgrade recently has been the stretch from Mombasa to Nairobi in Kenya. That route used to be known as the Lunatic Express because its construction in the late 19th century was so dangerous. Thousands of labourers died working on it, many from malaria, some from being attacked by lions. The 12-hour journey has now been reduced to 4.5. But at those speeds, you might find that any visible big game whizzes by at a pace that makes it slightly trickier to spot. One of the most luxurious and most expensive rides Africa has to offer is South Africa's Blue Train. It takes 27 hours to travel the nearly 1,000 miles from Pretoria to Cape Town. And it'll set you back around £900 or about $1,200 US. However, you're paying not just for dramatic views of the landscapes, but also for high-end 5-star service on board. And in Egypt, the line from Cairo to Aswan tracks the course of the Nile and offers excellent views of plantations and villages along the way. If you try and book at the ticket office, they'll put you on the sleeper services and you'll miss all the views. However, there's nothing to stop you booking online or just turning up and getting your ticket on the train. Do check the latest travel advice before you go.
Still to come on The Travel Show.
We take our best pout along to the Museum of Selfies.
Ooh,
And why I'm getting a good dunking in the name of music.
Amazing.
you're doing good.
It's lovely and warm.
when you're singing into the water, you have to have water down to your throat. And if you open up, you get the water in your lungs.
So do stay with us. The Travel Show, your essential guide wherever you're heading.
Okay, it's time for Trending Travel, your monthly mashup of the very best travel-related stories, pics and clips online. Apparently over 1 million selfies are posted to social media every day. So it was probably inevitable that someone would open up a museum of selfies. It opens in LA for a month-long engagement starting April.
But more than just a gallery of art, it's an interactive installation that allows people to create selfies of their very own. Selfies had a very interesting history that goes back 40,000 years. The human form is a very old thing that we've depicted since we were able to start drawing on cave walls. It's changed because the technology and the techniques have become more advanced.
This year, South Africa celebrates 100 years since the birth of Nelson Mandela, with a packed calendar of concerts, celebrations, and a new app. Madiba's journey guides visitors around many of the sites that shaped the great man's life, including Robben Island, where he was imprisoned for 18 long, grueling years. The listings are decked out with images, histories, and even audio guides. It's available for both iOS and Android. Now meet a travel photographer with a difference. Jackie Kenny uses Google Street View to explore the world, posting her screen grabs under the name The Agoraphobic Traveller. She suffers from a fear of open spaces, leaving her largely confined to her house. But her work is spreading across the globe, with an exhibition in New York and nearly 100,000 Instagram followers. For a limited time, she's selling her prints and donating a portion of the profits to the Brain and Behaviour Research Foundation. And we caught up with blind backpacker Tony Giles, fresh from his trip to Israel and Palestine, for a Facebook Live interview. Tony has visited over 120 countries despite losing his sight as a child.
What's been the most unforgettable place that you've visited? What's been the most amazing place you've visited?
Well, New Zealand's the most amazing country. I've been twice. First time I went there, I spent 3 months there drunk on a bus, just sort of travelling around, doing bungee jumpings and stuff. And, I love the people and the nature, that I can smell it all and I can sense it all when I'm walking up and down a mountain.
Thank you to everyone who sent us their pictures from their travels using the hashtag #TravelTuesday. Here's what caught my eye. Mario took this stunning sunset shot of the Church of Assumption at Lake Bled in Slovenia, while Roger captured another sunset view overlooking Sydney Harbour. Don't forget to share your travel pictures with us on our Twitter feed. Okay, here are the travel videos we've been viewing this month. 70 years ago this month, Sri Lanka declared independence from Great Britain. So we've selected a couple of films that show the country at its best that you can also check out online. And if you see anything you think we should know about, please do get in touch. You can find us on Twitter using @BBC Travel Show.
And finally this week, I travelled to Aalborg in Denmark. This is a country almost completely surrounded by water. Wherever you are, you're never more than 50 kilometres from the coast.
So it should come as no surprise that it was here that a local artist was inspired to combine music and water in a way you've never heard before.
This is the group Between Music. Their latest show is the first in a 4-part series called Aqua Sonic, which aims to explore who we are as human beings. And it begins with our time in the womb.
We are so often divided between you and me, them and us, different religions, different cultures. But here's something that I think we all know something about. We have our first 9 months covered by this water filter. So I think somehow the audience, I think they on at least on an unconscious level, will have a flashback to hearing those sounds.
So as performers, how does it feel when you're underwater performing to an audience?
It gets you this somehow, someone says a loneliness to it. That there is a not only visually loneliness to see these humans in the tanks, but also the sound has a kind of a loneliness to it. And I think it's quite a nice idea.
So here goes, one deep breath and, well,
All right.
actually this is quite nice.
Amazing. You're doing good?
It's lovely and warm.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is great.
So if you take this microphone that is hanging, and then you hit this bell plate. Do you see that one?
Yes, this one here.
Yeah. And then you take the microphone and put it towards. Do you hear that effect?
That's awesome.
And then you can sort of play with it.
Playing music in water has two sides. On one side is terrifying because also when you're singing into the water, you have to have water down to your throat. And if you open up, you get the water in your lungs. So that's quite terrifying.
So how on earth do you get musical instruments to play underwater?
Well, it took us 10, 11 years to create this project, and how come it took so long? Because, okay, it is something that we needed to really research and see what other people had done, and trying other instruments, and most instruments didn't sound really good, but we saw somehow a potential in this. But we also realized we have to build instruments to work in water, so we found collaborators around the world to help us build an instrumentarium for this project.
From his studio in Bath in England, Matt Nolan works with artists all over the world to create custom-made instruments.
I guess somehow I seem to have become one of the guys people go to when they need something unusual. It's all a bit spooky. I was approached by, I think it was the one of the new production guys for Aqua Sonic when they needed some bespoke underwater percussion. I tried a lot of things in a small tank of water here and was just astonished by how many things just literally just go clunk and don't do anything else. You know, all the high frequencies, all the shimmer and anything like a cymbal just disappears. So with various experiments and trying this and that, we sort of narrowed down on most of the instruments need to be very heavy, very massive. So that they can sustain, they can have, contain a certain amount of sonic energy, and then they'll radiate out over time and the water doesn't kill it too quickly. Well, it's always good to, start with something that's not working and figure out how to make it work.
Back in Denmark, I'm beginning to think I'm a bit of a natural.
And then maybe you should just pull the darbuka in the front window. And then you can sort of, if you hit it with the hammer, then you can like close the sound with your hand. Another thing, if you take there's a small stick on the top of the, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And you can use that for the ring over there with the holes in it. That's so cool! You're making music! Woohoo!
It's amazing. You have these hammers that when you hit, it resonates through the whole tank. You can feel it in your chest and your body. It's amazing. It's a totally different experience than just banging a bell with a hammer in the air.
And then when you've been out of water for a couple of weeks or months, and when we have to play somewhere and get in the tank, it feels quite like getting home again. Yeah. Try to go down and then hit maybe number 1 and number 3 together.
Underwater music, trickier than it appears and definitely one not to try at home. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for on this week's show. But coming up next week...
With the Winter Olympics in full swing in South Korea, Carmen heads to Seoul for a taste of its street food culture.
So let me tell you, it's pretty cold out here right now. It feels like it's well below zero. But look at this place, it's so bustling. You would think people would be at home with the central heating on full blast. But no, this place is really happening.
And we're off to one of the toughest, wildest environments the UK has to offer. Joe Wally joins a tour that aims to teach you how to survive a night outdoors in Scotland's Cairngorm Mountains.
So we've been digging for a couple of hours now and the camera is finally starting to completely freeze over. And I'm also freezing over. Cheers everyone! Woohoo!
So do join us then if you can. And in the meantime, don't forget you can catch up with us while we're out on the road in real time by signing up to our social media feeds. Details are on the screen now. But for now, from me, Crystal Larwood, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in Denmark, it's goodbye.